Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku Got Fused with the Symbiote in Childhood Part 1. Before we start, please go support Silverlion 12k for writing that awesome fanfic. The day before Izuku Midoriya turned 5, he prayed to God before going to bed and asked to be blessed with a powerful quirk, not to bully the weak but to protect what mattered to him. Chapter 1 Symbiote. It was the night before Izuku turned 5 years old. His mother Inko and his father Hisashi kept him company before he fell asleep. Izuku. Mommy, Daddy, what kind of quirk do you think I'll get? Inko. I don't know honey, we'll have to wait and see. Hisashi. You might breath fire like me or have telekinetic powers like your mom or possibly a combination of both. Izuku. Hopefully I get both so I can become a cool hero like All Might. The boy's parents chuckled seeing him fidget in his bed excited for his birthday. As his eyelids grew heavy, Izuku slept. His parents left, and as they left, Izuku got out of bed and began to face the direction of the stars. Izuku's mind. Oh God, please hear my prayer. I have faith that you will bless me with an amazing quirk, hopefully something powerful, not bully or hurt the weak, but to protect those I love. I also pray that you give me the strength to continue fighting, even in the most hopeless situations. That's all I ask for God, amen. As Izuku finished his prayer, he got comfortable in his bed and closed his eyes, and just like that he fell asleep quickly. As Izuku was asleep that night, a meteorite fell from the sky and landed in the woods where Izuku his friends would play. The trees were torn down because of the impact of the meteorite. The government quickly found the crash site of the meteorite and began to get rid of the evidence when they found a trail of sludge. One of the government agents told the cover-up team to catch the sludge that oozed out of the meteorite. They were too late for being sludge. It moved quickly and made its way to a building to search for a host, and it indeed found one. The host that the sludge found was a small child, and so the organism latched onto the child who was asleep, but the sludge felt calm being latched to the boy. There was no hint of anger or greed. The child was pure and selfless, so the sludge appeared to the boy in a dream. Inside dream. Izuku. Hello. Hello boy, are you afraid? Izuku. Who and what are you? Symbiote. I am a symbiote, a creature from outer space. I have no name. Izuku. Okay, Mr. Symbiote, would you like to be friends? Symbiote. Okay, let's be friends. What is your name? Izuku. My name is Izuku Midoriya. Symbiote. Okay Izuku, what's your dream? Izuku. I want to be a powerful hero to protect those who I love. Symbiote. I can grant you that power if I fuse into your body. Izuku. Is there any downside? Symbiote. No, not one that I've faced. I'll tell you this, my species can get corrupted if our host is full of anger and hate. You are different. When we become one, you'll have full command over me. Izuku. Then how do we fuse? Symbiote. Well, I've already started the process, but when you wake up you'll have full control of my power. If I sense you are in danger, I'll act on my own to protect you. If you die, I die. The dream ends. The next morning Izuku wakes thinking about the dream he had. That's when he remembered what day it was. Izuku ran to the living where he saw his parents, and they both shouted surprise happy birthday Izuku, the little boy happy to have his mom and dad with him on this special day. Inko. Okay Izuku, we have the doctor appointment today at 2 p.m, so go get dressed and dad will take you to the park so you can play with your friends before going to see the doctor. Izuku ran and hurried to get dressed, and as he was ready he and his dad walked to the park. When they arrived, Izuku saw Katsuki, his friend. Izuku. Hey Kaken, what are you up to? Kaken. Hey Deku, so today's the day you find out your quirk. I bet it won't be as flashy as mine. Izuku. I hope I have something flashy. Izuku then began to play with Kaken and his two friends when they see a girl with a small spiky ponytail and she's using her quirk to make little dolls. Kaken decided to walk up to her. Kaken. Hey, what are these stupid dolls? They're not stupid, I can only make these to help me improve my quirk. Kaken. Well, your quirk is useless, only those with a strong quirk can be heroes. Izuku. Kaken, who said you could decide whether a person is hero material? Kaken. Why are you siding with someone you don't know? Izuku. That's what a hero does, protects people from bullies. After hearing Izuku call Kaken a bully, he pulled his hand back and charged an explosion, but what Kaken didn't expect was the symbiote to rush to Izuku's aid. Kaken was afraid, and Izuku had a full-body symbiote suit, and that's when Izuku ties Kaken to a tree with his webs. Hisashi sees how Kaken was tied to a tree, but he didn't see his son, so he got worried and called his name, only to see the symbiote mask reveal his son's face. Hisashi was proud that his son developed his quirk, but this meant he had to rush him to the doctor to register his quirk, but before he rushed his son, he wondered what he was going to tell the girl. Izuku. Excuse me, are you okay? You're not hurt, are you? No, I'm fine, thank you for defending me. Izuku. It's what heroes do. I'm Izuku Midoriya, what's your name? Momo. I'm Momo Yaoi Rozu, nice to meet you. Izuku. Well yaoi Rozu, I'm glad you aren't hurt. I have to go now, since my quirk activated I have to got to the doctor to register it. Momo. Okay, I hope we meet again another day. As the two kids left, Izuku's father called Inko to tell her to head to be doctor to see what kind of quirk he developed. Chapter 2 Doctor's Appointment. Izuku. Excuse me, are you okay? You're not hurt, are you? No, I'm fine, thank you for defending me. Izuku. It's what heroes do. I'm Izuku Midoriya, what's your name? Momo. I'm Momo yaoi Rozu, nice to meet you. Izuku. Well yaoi Rozu, I'm glad you aren't hurt. I have to go now, since my quirk activated I have to got to the doctor to register it. Momo. Okay, I hope we meet again another day. As the two kids left, Izuku's father called Inko to tell her to head to be doctor to see what kind of quirk he developed. As Hisashi and Izuku got to the doctor's office, they waited to be called. Then Inko showed up, and as she walked in, it was Izuku's turn to see the doctor. They ran tests. When they concluded the tests, the doctor came with the results. The R. Yamada. Your son has a quirk, it will manifest soon. Hisashi. It already has manifested, we wanted to know if you've seen it before. As Izuku powered up a symbiote completely cover his body except his head. The R. Yamada. I've only heard of this once before, a similar case appeared, but I happened in America. Inko. Is this his quirk? What is this? Symbiote. Allow me to explain, I am a being called a symbiote. Everyone was surprised when a tendril formed a face and began to speak. Izuku. Hello, symbiote. Symbiote. Hello Izuku, now to explain, I came from outer space. I was on a meteorite. When I crashed on this planet I searched for a host and found this boy. You see, my species is a peaceful one, but if our host is corrupt, then they shall corrupt us. Hisashi. What do you want with my son? Symbiote. I want to fulfill his dream of being a hero. There was no guile found in the words of the symbiote. Everyone wasn't so convinced, but Izuku felt the words symbiote spoke were true. Izuku. Hey symbiote, I didn't know I had these tendrils, they look like whips. Symbiote. Well, these can be used for combat purposes, offensively or defensively. Izuku began to mutter. The adults found it cute, but what Izuku was doing was trying to find a name for symbiote, muttering when it hit Izuku like a brick. Izuku. Whiplash, lashing, lasher. Symbiote, may I call you Lasher? Lasher? If that is what you wish, from this day forth I'll be known as Lasher. The doctor then labeled this symbiote quirk as Lasher. The appointment ended and Izuku was happy, and so were his parents. When they arrived home, they prepared the small feast for Izuku's birthday. When the food was ready, Izuku rushed to the table, his mother bringing in his birthday cake, while his father photographed the event. After they ate, it was time for gifts. Inko presented her gift. It was the latest All Might action figure. Izuku was extremely happy to receive this gift. Izuku's father didn't know if his son would like the gift he was about to give him. Hisashi. Izuku, I've got this special gift, but I'm not sure you like it. Izuku. Anything from dad has got to be a great gift. This tugged at Hisashi's heart, and so he handed his son a necklace with a locket, and Izuku looked confused. Hisashi. This necklace is special. As Hisashi opened the locket, there on the inside of it was a picture of his mom and dad. The other side was empty. On the outside was inscribed, with great power comes great responsibility. Hisashi. One side is empty because that's where you'll put a picture of you and a special someone. Every time that it's opened, it will remind you why you fight the hardest when you become a hero. Izuku. I love it, dad, thank you, but what does this saying mean? Hisashi. Izuku, you've been blessed with this great power. The great responsibility is to be the hero that people can count on when they are in need. Izuku. I promise to try and be the best hero I can. That afternoon flew by quickly. It was 8 p.m. and Izuku was ready for bed as he fell asleep as he thought about everything that happened today. Lasher's mind. Izuku, I promise to help you reach your goal. It will be a tough road, but I'll be there to help you out. Chapter 3 Goodbye 10-year time skip. The next morning Izuku woke up happy after getting special birthday gifts from his parents, so he went downstairs to be greeted by his mom and dad. Hisashi was reading the newspaper, and Inko was almost done with preparing breakfast when both parents spot their son. They simultaneously say good morning. Izuku. Good morning, mom, dad. As the family of three sat down and enjoyed breakfast, the house phone began to ring. As Inko answered the phone, Hisashi's cell phone rang after 4 minutes. Inko. I'm sorry Izuku, I wanted to spend the day together with you and dad, but the hospital called me into work, they are short-staffed. Hisashi. Sorry buddy, I wanted to spend time with you and mommy, but I got called into the office today. Both parents realized that they had no one to watch Izuku until they both made what seemed to be a drastic measure of action. Hisashi. Lasher. As a tendril appeared with a face, it was the symbiote now known as Lasher. Lasher. Hello Mr. Midoriya, how may I assist you? Hisashi. I was wondering if you could watch over Izuku, my wife and have to go to work and we have no one who can look after him. Lasher. Izuku is my host, I have to protect him if he dies, I die, that goes without saying, I look after the boy. As Izuku's mom and dad got ready for work, he asked if he could go to the park. They trusted him, since the park was 3 minutes away from home. They gave him the house key and everyone left going their own way. Izuku was at the park and only one person was there. It was Momo Yaoirozu, the same girl who he met on his birthday. He noticed she was crying. Izuku. What's the matter, Yaoirozu? Momo. Midoriya, I'm sad because I have to move away. My daddy got a new job and we have to move. I thought if I came to this park I would see you again to say goodbye. Izuku. Will you ever come back here? Momo. I don't know, you are the nicest boy I ever met, I hope we can meet again. Izuku without fail carried a small backpack with a few toys he liked to play at the park with. One of those toys was the first All Might action figure his parents bought him. Izuku. If you're going to move then I want you to have this action figure, it's my favorite one that I own. Momo began to cry because it was the nicest thing any boy has done for her. She then revealed her quirk to Izuku as she made 3 things. First was a small camera that printed its pictures, second was a small figure that resembled her, and third a small figure that resembled Izuku. Momo. Here, this small figure of me is for you to keep while I keep the one that looks like you, that way we won't forget about each other. The camera is so we can take a picture and keep a copy each. As the 2 kids began to take pictures, Momo heard the voice of her parents saying it's time to go. As she left waving goodbye, she had tears fall from her eyes. Izuku then placed his copy of their picture together in the empty locket slot. Father Takeshi Yaoirozu. What's that you got there, Momo? Momo. It was a goodbye gift from my first friend I made here. Takeshi. I'm sorry honey that we have to move around because of my job. Momo. It's alright daddy, I hope to meet him again someday. Mother Bina Yaoirozu. Thank you for being so strong dear, and who knows, if it's meant to happen you probably will see him again. Izuku decided not to stay at the park after saying goodbye to Momo, so what he did instead was go home. Lasher. Hey kid, don't worry, if it's meant to be you'll see her again someday. Izuku. Thanks, I appreciate the words of comfort. 10 years later. It was the last day of middle school and the teacher walks in with a stack of career choice papers. Teacher. I was going to hand these career forms, but who am I kidding, you all want to be heroes. As all the students showed off their quirks, one loud mouth sounded off. Katsuki. Hey teach, don't lump me with those extras, I'm going to be the new number 1. As everyone was shooting glares at Katsuki for being arrogant, the teacher spoke. Teacher. Ah Katsuki, that's correct, you applied to UA and did well on the exams, there is a chance you are going to make it. Oh wait a moment, Izuku Midoriya also applied to UA and got in on a scholarship. Katsuki. What, how did this nerd get a scholarship? Izuku. I am smarter and stronger than anyone in this entire school. Teacher. Can't argue with him there, he been ranked 1 in all subjects since first year. The school day ended. Katsuki was angry and his lackeys tried to calm him down by going to the arcade. Before Izuku left school to go home, he pulled his necklace out and opened the locket to see the 2 pictures in there. One was his mom and dad and the other was him and Momo as kids. Next to the locket was the little figure of Momo she made for him so he wouldn't forget about her. Izuku's mind. I got a feeling I'll be able to see Momo soon and hopefully she'll remember me. Somewhere else. Girls. Hey Momo, can we go to your house and hang out? Momo. Sure, that's fine with me. So Momo has become very popular and loved by everyone. She had received confessions from many guys from school and the shopping district near her home. Girl 1. So Momo, I heard that Takagi asked you out, did you accept his confession? Momo. No, I couldn't accept his feeling for me, it would be cruel if I accepted them and not be able to return the love. Girl 2. You're engaged, huh? I mean, it's to be expected, you are a part of the richest family in Japan. Momo. No, I'm not engaged, it's just I'm hoping to meet a special someone who I've been waiting for a very long time. Both of Momo's friends were curious about who the guy was who captivated her heart. As they arrived at her home, they went to Momo's room for girl talk. When they got to Momo's room, they always wondered why she had an old All Might action figure in a display case. Girl 1. Why do you still have that old toy in that display case? Momo. This toy belonged to that special person I mentioned a little while ago. Girl 2. Why did he give you this toy? Momo. We moved around a lot and I couldn't make a lot of friends, he protected me from bullies that were picking on me. When I told him I was moving, he gave me this toy as a memory of him, I hope he remembers me. Back to Izuku. After reminiscing about the past, Izuku took a different route home than usual, so this resulted with him through the dark tunnel. His symbiote senses were tingling. Sludge. I am Sludge, I'm looking for someone like you boy to be the perfect meat shield. Chapter 4 First Villain Encounter. Previously. After reminiscing about the past, Izuku took a different route home than usual, so this resulted with him through the dark tunnel. His symbiote senses were tingling. Sludge. I am Sludge, I'm looking for someone like you boy to be the perfect meat shield. Chapter 4 starts. After Izuku sensed the danger thanks to his symbiote senses, Izuku was able to dodge and create a good amount of distance between him and Sludge. At that very moment Izuku let Lasher cover his body and give some pain to Sludge. After Sludge saw Izuku active his quirk he got excited as if he landed the jackpot. Sludge. It looks like I found a powerful quirk on my soon-to-be meat shield. Izuku. In your dream slime ball. Izuku blocked the villain's attack with his tendrils and shot a web at his eyes to temporarily blind him. When that strategy worked Izuku jumped and Superman punched Sludge. Then a booming voice sounded for I am here. Izuku was fully covered by Lasher. When All Might saw him he thought another villain showed up, but Izuku told Lasher to power down. All Might was surprised that this young man had this quirk. All Might. Excuse me young man, what is your quirk? Izuku. All Might, I'm your biggest fan. To answer your question, my quirk is Symbiote. As a tendril appeared with Lasher's face as he spoke to All Might. Lasher. Hello All Might, I am Izuku's quirk Symbiote, I'm known as Lasher. All Might. Hello Lasher, why have you made this boy your host? Lasher. I plan to make his dreams a reality and his dream too to be just like you. All Might. Hahaha, I expect great things from you young man. As All Might collected the remains of Sludge into 2 soda bottles, he put them in his pockets and leaped into the sky. Izuku continued his way home until he was close to a small shopping district near his house. He was lost in thought, trying to figure out a way to train himself during the next 10 months before the UA exam. His train of thought was interrupted by 2 familiar voices calling his name, Izuku. As Izuku turned around to see who was calling him and it was his parents, he was a bit surprised to see his parents at the shopping district. Izuku. Hey mom and dad. Hisashi. Hey son, how was school? Izuku. School was okay, a bit boring but okay. Mom, do you need help carrying the groceries? Hisashi. Dear, let me help you carry the rest. Inko. Thank you. Izuku, what are you doing in the shopping district? Izuku. I wanted to get some snacks for later. My question to you both is why are you guys here? Hisashi. Well, my boss gave me some vacation time because I haven't used any vacation hours, so I got 3 months off with pay. Inko. Well, the hospital decided that since I work hard and have been coming in on time they gave me 1 month off with pay. Izuku. Well, I'm glad that you both have been rewarded for your hard work. Before Izuku could say anything the small family of 3 heard an explosion. They ran to the side of the commotion. They saw multiple pro heroes. They were Kamui Woods, Death Grip and Mountain Lady. Aside from the heroes there was a news van broadcasting the whole incident. Reporter. We are here live at Tagaba shopping district where we see a hostage situation taking place. As Izuku and his family saw who the hostage was they all froze and Izuku couldn't hold back anymore. His parents knew the look in his eyes. Izuku left the share of groceries on the ground and went somewhere to have Lasher cover his body. As he came back he shot a web at the corner of the building and the report spotted him. Reporter. It looks like someone else had just joined the situation. Is it a hero or a villain? Izuku landed on the corner of the building where the incident was taking place. He picked up a loose brick with his web and began to spin it around. As the brick gained speed Izuku threw it with all his might and hit Sludge in the eye, causing him to let Katsuki go. He shot Katsuki with a web and pulled him out of the grasp of the villains. Once he was free Izuku threw him to the pro heroes and prepared to face off against Sludge. How the bystanders were thinking while this was happening. People began to wonder what happened to All Might. This was the villain he was chasing. All Might was in the midst of the crowd feeling useless until he saw young Midoriya take action. Sludge was still in a major amount of pain due to the brick being thrown with a massive amount of force behind it. Izuku took the chance to attack first. After Izuku took the initiative to strike first he knocked out Sludge and sealed him in an empty bottle. The crowd began to cheer. The pro heroes were going to scold him, but the reporter beat them to it. Reporter. Excuse me, are you a pro hero? If so, what is your name and what agency do you work under? Izuku. My name is Lasher and I am a regular civilian. I did what these pros couldn't do. That is show the people what it means to be a hero. Reporter. What are you trying to say? Izuku. A real hero is one who doesn't fear death. That's the job they signed up for. Before I leave I'm going to quote my father, with great power comes great responsibility. We as heroes are blessed with power to protect and we bear the responsibility to show the people we do anything to keep them safe. Izuku then took a running start and shot a web and began to swing away somewhere with nobody in sight so Lasher could stop covering his body and so that nobody knew who was in the suit. In another part of town. Momo was with her family when suddenly breaking news flashed on the TV, causing the program they were watching to be interrupted. Reporter. We are here live at the Gaba shopping district where we see a hostage situation taking place. Takeshi. Momo, cover your ears, this is something you shouldn't hear. Ibina. Well, she's received a recommendation to UA, so she has to get comfortable hearing these kind of things. As they saw all the events unfold in the news, they were surprised when they saw the mysterious hero appear. Reporter. It looks like someone else had just joined the situation. Is it a hero or a villain? Momo was shocked to see who it was that joined in the hostage situation. She recognized the person. It was none other than Izuku Midoriya. Momo continued to watch the events unfold. Once the villain was captured, the report interviewed the young man. Izuku. My name is Lasher and I am a regular civilian. I did what these pros couldn't do. That is show the people what it means to be a hero. Reporter. What are you trying to say? Izuku. A real hero is one who doesn't fear death. That's the job they signed up for. Before I leave, I'm going to quote my father: with great power comes great responsibility. We as heroes are blessed with power to protect, and we bear the responsibility to show the people we do anything to keep them safe. At this point Momo had a blush on her face. At the moment he was shown on TV, she recognized it was Izuku in a heartbeat. She went to her room and picked up the picture of her and Izuku from the day she said goodbye and said, I hope we meet again soon. Chapter 5 Training for UA Exam. After the sledge incident, Izuku realized that he didn't feel as strong as he should have been, so he decided to start a conversation with Lasher. Izuku. Hey Lasher, can I ask you couple things? Lasher. What's on your mind, Izuku? Izuku. Well, we were surrounded by fire, and when I launched the brick at the villain I felt that it wasn't as powerful as it should have been. Lasher. Well, it seems you discovered one of my two weaknesses. Izuku. Okay, so fire is one weakness, what's the second? Lasher. The second weakness is high-frequency sound. Izuku. If I train under those conditions, do you think you'd gain a resistance to them? Lasher. I don't know, it's worth a try. Izuku went downstairs to look for his dad and ask him to help him train, and once he found his dad he asked him. Izuku. Hey dad, got a second? Hisashi. Sure son, what's up? Izuku. I know you're on vacation, so I'll make this quick. Would you help me strengthen my weaknesses so I can prepare for the UA entrance exam? Hisashi was happy that his son was asking for help. It would also give him time to spend with his son. Hisashi. Of course, I'll be glad to help you get ready for the UA entrance exam. I'll take you to a special place where we can use our quirks. Izuku. What place are we going to for training? Hisashi. We'll be going to see an old friend of mine. The father-son duo headed out, and to Izuku's surprise it was Gunhead's gym. As the two walked in, Hisashi was greeted with a bro hug by Gunhead himself. Gunhead. Hisashi, my old friend, how have you been? It's been ages. Hisashi. Likewise Gunhead, it's been too long. I'd like you to meet my son. Gunhead. Well, I'll be as that little Izuku, he's grown since the last time I saw him. Izuku. Wait dad, how does Gunhead know who I am? Hisashi. It's because Gunhead was the best man at my wedding and I also made him your godfather. Gunhead. So Hisashi, are we doing? Hisashi. I'd like help training my son for the UA entrance exam. Gunhead. Shall we begin now then? Without hesitation, Gunhead already had a training regimen set up. First Izuku would spar with his father while they used quirks. Hisashi could breath fire, so it was a big help to Izuku so he could overcome one of the two weaknesses. Izuku. Dad, are you sure you'll be okay if we spar? Hisashi. Don't underestimate your old man. Izuku powered up with Lasher, and when he least expect this, his dad caught him with a leg sweep and began to beat Izuku to teach him a lesson. Once Izuku created enough space. Hisashi. Don't underestimate me son, I've been trained by Gunhead, so show me what you're made of. Izuku charged at his dad again but was caught in a combo attack. As Izuku was uppercut at the end of his dad's combo, he was on the floor thinking, I got 10 months to make it or break it. Gunhead. Okay Izuku, for 5 months we will be training your body and improving the first weakness of your quirk. After 5 months we will wrap it up with me. I'll introduce you to someone who can help your second weakness. But before we get ahead of ourselves, remove your shirt so I can see how far we're going to have to work. The moment Izuku removed his shirt, Gunhead and Hisashi noticed how toned Izuku was. It wasn't until Lasher spoke. Lasher. When I latched onto Izuku's body, he naturally gained super strength and super speed. His body also developed to be able to withstand my power. Gunhead noticed that Izuku was practically ready to take the exam, but he wanted to make sure that Izuku could defend himself without Lasher in case something goes wrong. 5 months skip. Izuku practically overcame the weakness of fire thanks to his dad, but after 3 months Izuku's dad had to return to work, but within the 3 months they bonded as father and son, and he also assisted Izuku with preparing for the entrance exam. Gunhead. You've made great progress on your fighting style with and without your quirk. Now we will spend the next 4 months with a good colleague of mine, he's the pro hero present Mick. Mick. Is this the kid I'm going to help? Gunhead. Yup, he sure is. Now since we're short on time, every time you feel that the sound frequency is tolerable, Mick will crank the frequency up. At first Izuku couldn't tolerate the sound, but little by little he was able to get comfortable with the frequency that was being output by Mick. Izuku became immune to the highest sound frequency and no longer had any weaknesses to worry about. Since Izuku wrapped up his training sooner than expected, he had 2 months left before the entrance exam. Bunhead. Well, since we're finished with training faster than anticipated, I suggest you go to Dagaba Beach and clean it up. It became an illegal dumping ground. Izuku. Good idea, I'll clean without my quirk. It will be hard but good training, since I'll use different muscles depending on what I'm lifting. Izuku went home to rest. As he got home he was greeted by both mom and dad. Hisashi. Hey son, how was training? Inko. Welcome home honey. Izuku. I've completed my training. Hey mom, is there anything to eat? Hisashi. You have 2 months before the test. Do you have a plan on what to do now? Inko. I can make you some turkey sandwiches if you'd like. Izuku. I'm going to clean Dagaba Beach starting tomorrow and do that for the rest of the remaining time. Oh, and mom, I'll take 1 turkey sandwich. As Inko finished preparing her son's sandwich, he ate and had a smile on his face. Seeing her son smile always brought joy to Inko. Chapter 6 Last Stretch Training. The next morning when Izuku woke up at 6 a.m. and he put on a tracksuit and jogged down to Dagaba Beach to clean the trash up. An hour passed and a familiar someone spotted Izuku from far away. All Might. Young Midoriya. Izuku. All Might. What are you doing here? All Might. Well, I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd buy some sweetbread since the bakery is near this beach. Izuku. Okay, I finished my training earlier than expected, so I decided to clean this place up. All Might. Well, young Midoriya, take care and see you around. I expect greatness from you. Izuku. Thanks All Might, be safe. All Might's thoughts. This kid is amazing, finished his training ahead of schedule and doing something that helps with toning his body to keep him fit until the exam. He never ceases to amaze me. I believe I have found a potential candidate for my successor, but I'll keep looking just in case. Back to main story. 6 p.m. Izuku continued to clean until he broke through to the other side of the trash wall, and what he saw was breathtaking. The sun was setting, and Izuku didn't notice how long he had been cleaning. The beautiful sunset had him in a trance. As Izuku stood on the clearer of the beach, he was captivated by the sun setting, almost as if the sun was setting into the water. Izuku's thoughts. If only Momo could see this beautiful sunset. Maybe if we do meet again, I'd like to bring her here once I finish cleaning. Izuku then opened his locket to see the picture of him and Momo, and he closed the locket after thinking that he'd like to share this view with her. He grabbed his track jacket and began walking away from the beach, only to have his jacket get caught on something. He took a look at what was buried under the mountain of trash and he found. Izuku found a Harley Davidson Softail Fat Bob Cruiser. Izuku was amazed that someone threw this away. Surprisingly, the keys were in the ignition. Izuku turned the keys and heard the engine stall. Izuku then began to daydream about how it would be cool if he met Momo again and took her for a ride on the bike. After he finished daydreaming, he decided to pull the bike out and push it home. Once he got home, he asked his parents to open the garage of their home. As both Inko and Hisashi saw him push the bike, they were both awestruck to see him do this kind of thing. Inko. Izuku, what are you planning to do with this bike? Izuku. I plan to fix it up and get my license to legally drive it. Inko. Hisashi, say something to your son. Hisashi. If you'd like a hand to fix it up, I'll help. Inko. Hisashi, would you allow your son to drive a motorcycle? Hisashi. Don't you remember how we met? Inko remember how Hisashi would pick her up on his motorcycle, and she remembered how much they both enjoyed cruising on the streets. She then agreed to let him keep it. It was 7:30 p.m. now that Izuku got home and took a shower. He had dinner with both his parents and enjoyed each other's company. After dinner, Izuku excused himself from the table, washed his plate and went to bed. Inko. Have you noticed something about Izuku? Hisashi. What do you mean? Inko. Well, he seems more confident and his baby face is practically gone. Hisashi. You're right, I couldn't really put my finger on it on why he looked different. As Izuku was in his room resting because he was going to keep cleaning the beach until his entrance exam date. The next morning. Izuku jogged to the beach that was full of trash, and when he got there he started stretching so he didn't pull a muscle. As he began the cleaning session, he got faster and moved at a rapid speed until when he didn't expect a small crowd to show up and thank him for cleaning the beach. He was then given small gifts of appreciation by the people who lived near the area. These gifts were snacks such as apples, bananas, protein bars, one or two business nearby which were butcher and a bakery had heard about the young man who was doing this act of kindness, got together and made grilled chicken sandwiches for the young man to help keep his energy up. The quarter of the beach was cleared. It was already 6 p.m. Izuku felt the burn of his muscles and decided to walk home slowly when he ran into All Might. All Might. Young Midoriya, how goes the training? Izuku. It's going slowly, but surely I'll be able to finish before my exam date. All might. Midoriya, what if I told you that you are a potential candidate to become my successor? Izuku? What? That means you believe I have potential to be the next one? All might. Yes, my boy, I believe you to be the best candidate. What if I told you I could pass down my quirk and give it to you, would you accept? Izuku? I'd love to accept your power, but what if another candidate appears? I suggest we wait and see if we find anyone else who is fit for the position. If nobody is found, then I accept. This had made it clear that nobody else was as worthy as Izuku to become All Might's successor. They parted ways and Izuku got home around 6:35 p.m. and he saw his dad working on the bike Izuku found. Izuku? Dad, what are you doing? I thought we were going to fix it together. Hisashi. Well, this is my surprise gift to you. The bike started and Izuku began to wonder how his dad fixed it in one day. Hisashi. The bike was in good condition and all it needed was some replacement parts for it to start. I'll teach you how to ride it so you can get your license. Izuku teared up at the things his father had done for him and he was happy to have his father and mother by his side. 1.5 months later. Izuku finished cleaning the beach and only had to wait 1 week before the entrance exam. During the time he spent after cleaning the beach, his dad taught him how to ride the motorcycle. So after getting confident, Izuku passed the written exam and had the driver's exam after the UA exam. In another part of town. Takeshi Aoi Rozu. Momo, please come downstairs. Ibini Aoi Rozu. We've got a surprise for you. Momo. Yes, mother and father. Momo said as she was walking down the stairs answering her parents' summons. Takeshi. Do you remember our old home in Dagaba City? Momo. Yes, it's where I said goodbye to the boy who I called friend. Ibina. Well, we've renovated the house and we decided to move back to the area. Momo was excited, she let out a squeal and her parents were happy that she gave off this reaction. Takeshi. Since I was nothing but a low-level worker, I had to move to different branches of the company, but when I worked my way to the top and named CEO, I decided to go back to our roots. Ibina. So pack up your clothes because we're moving in 3 days' time. It's also a plus since it's close to UA. Momo ran up a stair to pack her clothes and she saw the picture of her and Izuku and said, I've got a feeling I'll see you pretty soon. Chapter 7 UA Entrance Exam. 1 week had passed and it was the day Izuku was going to be taking his entrance exam. He woke up and went to the bathroom to wash his face. After doing so, he looked in the mirror and saw how his baby face was gone. As Izuku looked in the mirror, he thought looking good, he was happy, and as he went downstairs he wasn't greeted by his parents. He saw a small breakfast that consisted of eggs, sausage, hash browns, steak and a cup of coffee, with a small note attached. It read. Dear Izuku, we're sorry we aren't there to greet you as usual, but both your father and I were called to work extra early. We hope you can forgive us for not seeing you off for your big day, but when you get home please tell us how it went. Your father and I prepared a breakfast for you so that you've got the energy to take on the day. With love, Inko and Hisashi Midoriya. Izuku's thoughts. Thanks mom and dad, I appreciate everything you've done for me. As Izuku began to eat, he remembered that his DMV test was after his UA exam. So Izuku looked at his appointment card and it read driver's test at 3:30 p.m. The UA test didn't last long, it was only an hour, so he'd have enough time to practice for his driving test. Izuku finished the breakfast that his loving parents made him and he walked to the station to catch the train that took him to UA. When he arrived at the school he was confident in passing the test until he heard a familiar voice. Katsuki. Out of my way, Deku. As Katsuki had nudged Izuku's arm after walking past him, Izuku said, well, good morning to you too. Once Izuku began walking towards the school's entrance, he tripped over some uneven concrete and fell over, but he was caught. Izuku said, thanks Lasher, I owe you one. Lasher? I didn't do anything, someone beat me to it. Izuku turned around to see a girl with brown hair and a bob-style haircut. She spoke, I'm sorry I used my quirk on you, it'd be bad if you would have fallen. Izuku. Thanks, I appreciate the save. I'm Izuku Midoriya. Ichako. I'm Uraraka. Ichako, nice to meet you Midoriya. Well, the test is about to begin, see ya. As Izuku parted with Uraraka, he went to the auditorium where orientation was taking place. He found an empty seat and the lights dimmed in the auditorium where Present Mick walked up to the podium. Present Mick. Hello boy and girls, are you ready to rock? As a silence fell in the auditorium, Present Mick then began orientation. He explained what the school standards were and also what kind of enemies were on the test when a blue-haired student interrupted the orientation. Iida. I am Tenya Iida from Same Academy and you've mentioned 3 out of the 4 enemies listed on this handout. If this is an error on UA's part, then I am greatly disappointed. Present Mick. Whoa, slow down chief, I was about to talk about that the 4th enemy is worth 0 PTS, so you can run away from it. After the orientation was over, everyone was given a slip of paper that told them what testing area they would report to. As Izuku reported to testing field B, he was focusing to try and calm down when he heard go. Izuku powered up and Lasher covered his body, except his face, as so once Izuku spotted a group of 4 3-pointers he destroyed them with ease. All the participants of the exam were in awe of his power until Present Mick broke their trance. Present Mick. You better hurry, this is a timed test. After everyone snapped out of the trance, everyone rushed to get points, and when 5 minutes had passed, Izuku had rounded up 85 points, he had hardly broken a sweat. Observation room. Nedzu. It looks like we have a promising batch this year. Midnight. Have you seen the kid with the green and black hair? The one on exam field B. As they all turned their heads to monitor field B, they see Izuku destroying robots left and right. Nedzu. What's that applicant's name? Midnight. Izuku Midoriya. Nedzu. He got in through recommendation. Why is he taking the test? Midnight. Maybe he wanted to earn his spot instead of taking the easy way. Back to Izuku. Izuku was taking a breather after he gained 85 PTS until his symbiote senses were tingling. Izuku. Lasher, do you sense that? Lasher. Yes, I do, it's coming from behind. As Izuku turned around, he saw the massive 0-pointer he was about to web swing away until he heard a cry, help. Izuku looked towards the direction the cry came from. It was Uraraka, the girl who caught Izuku from tripping. Izuku web zipped his way to her as he smashed the debris off her leg. He picked her up and saw the blue-haired guy and told him get her out of here as fast as possible. Izuku swung his way in the direction of the 0-pointer as a tendril wrapped around Izuku's arm like a sword, and he cried at the top of his lungs, Spider's Fang. As Izuku's punch pierced the robot's head, it exploded. Izuku quickly recovered in the air to be able to shoot a web to a building nearby and zipped his way down, only to have his tendril stick the landing. Izuku. Is everyone okay? Everyone surprised that Izuku took down the 0-pointer with ease. When they were asked by an old woman, is anybody hurt? Izuku took Uraraka from the blue-haired guy's hands and said she's got a broken foot. Once she was healed, Present Mick had announced time's up. Everyone began to leave the testing field. Uraraka tried to find Midoriya, but he was out of sight. She thought to herself, I hope I can thank him someday. Izuku walked home, and when he got there he saw both his parents. Izuku. Mom, Dad, you're home. Hisashi. Hey champ, how did the test go? Inko. I hope you passed with flying colors. Izuku. I feel like I did well. Test results won't get here for another week. Inko. Isn't your driver's test today? Izuku. Not until 3 p.m. Hisashi. Well, it's 11 a.m. The UA exam was at 9 a.m, so you have 4 hours to practice. Come on, show me you're capable of riding on your own. Time skip 2:25 p.m. Izuku showed his dad how much he progressed in his driving skill. They made their way to the DMV. When they got there, they time read 2:58 p.m. It was Izuku's turn. He was a bit nervous but relaxed when he began to think about Momo. After Izuku showed the test proctor his ability to be safe in the road, he was told to cut the test bike's engine and was handed a paper. Proctor. Take this inside the building and you will get your license picture taken. Congratulations, you passed with flying colors. Izuku was overwhelmed with joy. He was practically backflipping into the DMV office. When he came outside, his dad asked about the results. How'd you do? Izuku. I passed with flying colors, thanks dad for everything. Chapter 8, First Day UA. A week had passed since the UA entrance exam, and this meant the acceptance letters should arrive in the mail anytime. Out of the blue, both Izuku's mom and dad bursted through Izuku's room, saying it's here, the moment of truth. Whether or not Izuku would make it into UA. Hisashi and Inko were about to leave Izuku's room so he could have privacy, but he spoke up. Izuku. Can you guys stay? I'd like to share this moment with the both of you. His parents nodded, and as he opened the envelope that contained the results, a small projector fell out and a hologram appeared. All Might. Hello young Midoriya. Izuku. A message from All Might. I thought it was from UA. All Might. Well, surprise, I've taken up a job at UA now to read you your scores. You received a score of 85, enough to pass, but there was a hidden category. The hidden category was rescue points. Since you saved the girl, you received 60 additional points. You scored a big 145 PTS to pass. Welcome to your Hero Academia. As the hologram ended, Izuku and his parents yelled in excitement. They yelled in joy and began jumping in excitement. Hisashi. Let's go out for some ice cream. Both Izuku and Inko were on board with that idea, so the three went to the closest ice cream shop and ordered 3 ice cream cones. Hisashi loved chocolate, Inko loved strawberry, and Izuku ordered his favorite bubblegum flavor. The owners of the ice cream parlor asked what they were celebrating. Hisashi. Inko. Our son got into UA. After the Midoriya family left the ice cream parlor to return home, they realized it was Friday and Izuku would start school Monday. They got home to rest so that the following morning Izuku could go pick up the things he needed for school. The next morning Izuku woke up around 10 a.m. so that the shops could be open and he wouldn't waste any time having to wait for them to open. His parents were still asleep and he left them a note. "Dear Mom and Dad, I left to pick up the things I need for school, don't worry about giving me breakfast, I'll buy myself something to eat. Love Izuku." Izuku grabbed his keys to his bike and a pair of goggles he left home as he made a checklist of what he should buy. The list included backpack, folder, notebooks, pens, pencils. Izuku also had to go pick up his uniform from the supplier, where the school orders from. First thing was first Izuku went to buy the school supplies. After he bought what he needed, he put everything in the backpack and drove to pick up his uniform. After picking up his uniform it was around 11:45 a.m. Izuku began to get hungry, so he found a small family restaurant called Johnny's. As Izuku walked in he took off his goggles and asked for a table for one. Izuku could hear everything that the women were saying, thanks to his sensitive hearing. Women were saying what a cutie, he's hot, is he single, he looks strong. Izuku had a small blush barely noticeable as the hostess escorted him to a table for one. A waitress comes with a melon soda, she says, compliments from the ladies over there. As Izuku turns his head in the direction where the waitress pointed to he says, "Okay, tell them I say thanks." They gave Izuku a menu and he saw what he wanted to order. Waitress. "Ready to order, sir?" Izuku. "Yeah, I'll take the steak cooked well done, an order of mashed potatoes and macaroni and cheese with gravy on the side, that will be all, thank you." After waiting for a bit Izuku's order got to his table and he enjoyed his meal, and after eating Izuku checked what time it was. His watch read 1:35 p.m. As Izuku called the waitress to get his check, she mentioned that another table covered his bill. Before Izuku left he left the waitress a $15 tip for her service. Izuku then got his goggles and left the restaurant and headed towards home. Once he got there he relaxed for the remainder of his 2 days off. Time skip Monday, first day of class. Izuku woke up early to get dressed and be ready to go to UA. He grabbed his key and goggles and drove off to UA. He found a parking spot nearby his school when he was approached by the school principal. "Nedzu. Hello young man, I see you're a student here, but do you have a..." Nedzu was cut off by Izuku showing him his driver's license. Izuku then put it back in his wallet and spoke. Izuku. "Sorry sir, but I wanted to be early so I brought my bike. If this kind of transportation isn't allowed I'll leave it at home." Nedzu. It's not an issue, but please take this parking pass for the teacher's parking lot. Also welcome to UA, I'm Principal Nedzu. Izuku. "Thank you Principal Nedzu for allowing me to park in the teacher's parking lot." Izuku drove to the lot and found an empty spot. He parked his bike and walked to the school gates until a limousine was slowly pulling up to the school. There he saw her. Without a doubt it was Momo Yaoi Rozu. She had the same hairstyle as when he met her. Momo's POV. "I see UA in my sights, and I kind of wish that father chose a regular car to drop me off at school instead of the limousine." I looked out the window to see a familiar green-haired boy walk out of the teacher's parking lot. Without doubt it was Izuku Midoriya. He looks a bit different, but I still recognize him from a mile away. Izuku walked through the doors of UA and began to search for his classroom 1A. It wasn't until he found it he slowly opened the door. He noticed Katsuki and the blue-haired guy from the exam. As he took his first step into the class all eyes were on him. The guy with the blue hair approached Izuku with his hand extended towards him. "Iida. I'm Tenya Iida and it's a pleasure to meet you. How did you know about the hidden point system?" Izuku. "I'm Izuku Midoriya and to be honest, I had no idea about hidden point system." The conversation was interrupted by a familiar voice. "Midoriya, you're in class 1 also, that's so cool." As Midoriya turned around he saw Uraraka Achako. Izuku. "Hey Uraraka, good to see you again. How's your leg feeling?" Achako. "I'm fine, thanks for asking." Izawa. "If you're here to make friends I suggest you do that elsewhere because this is a hero school. It took you all 1 minute to shut up. My name is Izawa Shota, but you will address me as Izawa sensei. Now put these on and meet on the PE field." Chapter 9 Quirk Test. Previously. Izawa. "If you're here to make friends I suggest you do that elsewhere because this is a hero school. It took you all 1 minute to shut up. My name is Izawa Shota, but you will address me as Izawa sensei. Now put these on and meet on the PE field." Chapter 9 Start. As everyone reported to the field everyone was anxious to see what was in store for them. Izawa. "Okay Bakugo, what was the farthest you've thrown without your quirk?" Katsuki. 76 meters. Izawa. "Use your quirk." As Katsuki prepared his quirk to throw he shouted, "Die!" As his score read 760 meters. A girl with pink hair and pink skin said, "This seems like fun." Izawa. "If you believe this will be fun, how about we make this interesting? The person who gets last place gets expelled." Achako. "That's not fair, we've only started today." Izawa. "Do you think Villian's planning an ambush is fair?" Everyone was sweating bullet at the thought of getting expelled right after the first day. The only 2 students who didn't freak out were Izuku and Momo. AN. We all know how this scenario traditionally goes, so I'm going to fast forward. As the quirk assessment concluded, Izuku stood at the top with Momo Yaoi Rozu in second, Todoroki Shoto in third, and fourth Katsuki Bakugo. The person in last place was Mineta Minoru. He was crying a flood until Izawa spoke. Izawa. The expulsion thing was a logical ruse to scare you to do your best. This concludes the day. Get change and pick up the class syllabus, then you can head home. As everyone was dressed in their school uniforms, Izuku left the gate of the school, only to be called out to by Iida and Uraraka. Iida. Midoriya, would you like walk with Uraraka and I to the train station? Uraraka. Yeah, us three walking together could be a load of fun. Izuku. I'd love to guys, but I drove to school today. Uraraka. Iida. What? Iida. Midoriya, you do realize that driving without a. Izuku cut Iida off to show him his driver's license, and he could not utter another word because the license was legitimate. Izuku. Sorry guys, if I get my Class C license I'll be more than happy to give you guys rides home. Iida. Well, quite alright Midoriya, be safe, I'll escort Uraraka home safely. They noticed that Yaoi Rozu was still at the gate. She looked as if she waited for someone. Iida. Excuse my Yaoi Rozu-san, is there a problem? Momo. Hi Iida, you see my driver was supposed to pick me up, but it turns out all of my family's cars are undergoing tune-ups. Iida. I'm sorry to hear that you're in this situation. What is your train stop? Maybe Uraraka and I can escort you home safely. Momo. My train stop is called Dagaba. The sound of that got Izuku's attention, and he noticed Iida was quite in trouble because he'd have to make long trips to escort both girls home. Izuku. Excuse me Iida, but if you like I'll take Yaoi Rozu home, that's the same stop I live on. Iida. That would be great Midoriya. Well Yaoi Rozu, you've got a ride home. Yaoi Rozu. Oh okay. Izuku. Let me go grab my bike, you should also let your parents know. Momo. Okay. Ring ring ring. Takeshi. Hello Momo, is everything okay? Momo. Yes father, everything is fine. I wanted to let you know that I'm getting a ride home from a friend. Takeshi. Great news, who's this friend? Momo. Remember the boy who gave me that All Might action figure? Takeshi. Yes. I remember him. Momo. Well, he has a license and he will drop me off at home. Takeshi. When he drops you off I'd like to speak to him personally. Momo. Okay, that's fine. Click. As Izuku pulled up on his motorcycle, Momo was speechless at the sight of how beautiful his motorcycle was. Izuku. You said your stop was Dagaba, just give me your home address and I'll drop you off at home so you don't have to walk. Momo. Okay, but do you think we could make a stop somewhere? Izuku. Yeah, that's fine, where did you want to stop? Momo. Dagaba playground. As Momo got on the back seat of the bike, Izuku drove nice and safely so that she wouldn't freak out. As 10 minutes passed, they reached Dagaba Park and Momo took of the helmet and spoke. Momo. Excuse me Midoriya, but do you remember taking this picture? She showed him the same picture he had in his locket. Still he could not believe that after all these years she remembers him. Izuku. You mean this picture? Izuku pulled out his locket only to reveal the same picture and the Momo figure she made him. Momo. You kept that little figure of me? Izuku. Of course I did, I never stopped thinking about you, I hoped we could meet again. What I didn't expect was for you to turn out extremely beautiful. Momo. Well, I didn't expect he babyface kid who saved me from bullies turn out this handsome. Momo placed his hand on his face to make sure that he isn't a dream. She was happy to be reunited with a boy she's been wanting to meet again for years. Izuku. No matter what, I couldn't stop thinking about you. I've longed to see you, and that smile you gave me after I saved you. The next thing that happened caught Izuku completely by surprise. She became aggressive and planted a kiss on his lips. Izuku was surprised and began to kiss her back. She then pulled away. Momo. I've been wanting to meet you again for so long. She kissed him again, not stopping to catch her breath until Izuku pulled away. Izuku. When you left I felt sad, I didn't think I'd meet you again. He kissed her again, but this time more passionately, where she almost went limp. Momo couldn't believe that she was kissing the boy who she wanted to meet again. They pulled away only to have a strand of saliva drip from their mouths, and they began to blush. Momo's phone vibrated from a text she received from her dad. It read. Are you almost home? That was the sign for Izuku to take her home. When Izuku got on his bike, ready to take Momo home, she spoke before getting on the back seat. Momo. I know we just reunited after many years and shared a passionate kiss. But if you're not dating anyone, would you like to go out with me? Izuku. I'd love to go out with you. As Izuku pulled her into a deep embrace, he lifted her and sat her on the back seat. Chapter 10, Meeting her dad. Previously. Momo. I've been wanting to meet you again for so long. She kissed him again, not stopping to catch her breath until Izuku pulled away. Izuku. When you left I felt sad, I didn't think I'd meet you again. He kissed her again, but this time more passionately where she almost went limp. Momo couldn't believe that she was kissing the boy who she wanted to meet again. They pulled away only to have a strand of saliva drip from their mouths, and they began to blush. Momo's phone vibrated from a text she received from her dad. It read, "Are you almost home?" That was the sign for Izuku to take her home. When Izuku got on his bike, ready to take Momo home, she spoke before getting on the back seat. "Momo. I know we just reunited after many years and shared a passionate kiss. But if you're not dating anyone, would you like to go out with me?" "Izuku. I'd love to go out with you." As Izuku pulled her into a deep embrace, he lifted her and sat her on the back seat. Chapter 10 start. As Izuku continued to drive Momo home, they finally got to her house, and when she got off to open the gate to her home, Izuku was about to leave when she stopped him. "Momo. Wait, don't leave yet, my dad wanted to talk to you." "Izuku. Okay." As Izuku pulled into the driveway of Momo's home, he noticed something strange. Izuku saw his dad's car there. This confused him greatly. As he turned off his bike and got off, she opened the door of her home to see her father, mother laughing with someone. "Momo. Mother, father, I'm home." "Takeshi. Honey, welcome back, how was your day?" "Momo. It was fine, I've brought my friend who dropped me off." As Izuku walked in, he saw his father Hisashi. "Hisashi. Izuku, what are you doing here?" "Izuku. I could ask you the same thing, dad." As Momo and her dad look at the father and son asking each other why they are in the same place, Momo and her father are confused at the situation that is occurring. "Takeshi. Wait, Hisashi, is this your son you were telling me about?" "Hisashi. Yes, this is him." "Izuku. Okay, what going on here?" "Takeshi. Well, your father is an employee at my company." "Izuku. Okay, what I don't understand is why he's here." "Takeshi. Well, just as Momo, I needed a ride home and he was the closest to where I live. As a thanks, I invited him in." So changing he subject, "How do you know my daughter?" "Izuku. I know her through this." Izuku pulled the locket out and showed it to Momo's father and said, "Izuku, I'm the boy who saved your daughter from bullies, and we took this picture the day she left from Dagaba. To have her remember me, I gave her my first All Might action figure." As a hush fell around the room while everyone's eyes, including the maids and butlers who were in the room, looked at Izuku. When Momo's dad had this shocked expression on his face, he stood up and put his hand on Izuku's right shoulder and said, "Takeshi. To be honest, I'm finally glad to meet the young man who has captivated my daughter's heart, hahaha. To be honest, when I saw her with an All Might action figure all those years ago, I thought she made it until she said a boy gave it to her, and from that day on she took it wherever we went." "Momo. Daddy, you don't have to tell my boyfriend everything." At that, Momo covered her mouth with both hands and let out a cute sound. "Eep. Takeshi. Wait, BB boyfriend." As the head of the Aoirozu household was having a hard time to process this, he stayed in a trance that made him look zombie-like. "Momo. Daddy. Izuku. Mr. Aoirozu. Hisashi. Boss. Takeshi. That's excellent news, honey." Everyone in the room was shocked to hear he approved of the relationship. He stood up and shook Izuku's hand and said, "Takeshi. I'm glad my only daughter reunited with the one person she wanted to see. I've arranged meetings with other young men looking to take her hand in marriage, but it seemed as if they had no chemistry between them. When I look at you standing by my daughter's side, I can tell the chemistry between you two is something special. You have my blessings to date my daughter Izuku Midoriya." "Izuku. Thank you, sir, I promise to keep your daughter safe at all costs." "Takeshi. That's what I like to hear, young man. Hisashi, I can tell we'll become in-laws soon." After Momo's father mentioned becoming in-laws soon, the two teens blushed a deep shade of red, a shade that has never been seen before. As the two teens blushed, Hisashi sat on the couch laughing his ass off. "Hisashi. I thinks it's time I take my leave, boss." "Takeshi. Okay, then I'll see you at work tomorrow, have a good night." Then Izuku turned to Momo and said, "Izuku. I guess I should head home too, but I'll see you tomorrow, okay, beautiful?" Momo. "Okay, until I see you tomorrow, but are you sure this isn't a dream?" Izuku. "Why do you think this is a dream?" Momo. "I still can't believe after all these years we're finally together." Izuku. "If you like, I'll pick you up tomorrow for school so we can spend time together." As the two shared a small kiss, they forget that they aren't alone in the room, causing both to blush. Izuku. "I should be going now." Izuku ran out of the room and made his way towards his bike too until he saw his dad in his car still dying of laughter. Izuku's mind. It looks like things are going to get interesting pretty soon. Chapter 11 Heroes vs Villains. The following day, after Izuku met Momo's father and was given permission to date her, he promised her that he'd pick her up for school. Now that Izuku was ready, he went downstairs to see his mom and dad. Giggling, Izuku knew what his dad told his mom. Izuku left the house with a tiny blush on his face. He also left without breakfast. He made his way to Momo's home and picked her up. She was waiting outside for him as he pulled up. He only wore goggles. Momo. Hey Izuku. Izuku. Hey Momo, you ready for school? Momo. Yeah, I'm glad we can spend this time together. Izuku. If you'd like, I'll also be happy to drop you off at home as well. Momo was excited to be able to spend more time with Izuku. As she got on the back of his bike, she wrapped her arms tightly around his waist, so they took off, and as Izuku pulled into the parking lot of the school, every student stared as they saw him pull up. After he and Momo got off the bike and began to walk to class together, everyone had eyes on them. As they entered into class, most of the guys had started wondering how Izuku got so close with Momo. She was a bombshell, just drop dead beautiful. Class went like a regular school day that consisted of subjects like math, science, history and English. By the time it was lunch, Izuku and Momo went to the cafeteria. Once they got their food, they found a table to sit at. They were soon joined by Iida, Uraraka, Kirishima, Jiro and Mina, since there were no other tables available. They then began to know each other. Iida. Midoriya, did you bring your motorcycle to school again? Izuku. Yes, and I was given permission to park my bike in the faculty parking lot. Kirishima. Wait, that was you this morning? Izuku. Yeah. Kirishima. That bike is manly. How much did you buy it for? Izuku. To be honest, I found it at a dump and fixed it up. Iida. Really, you found it and fixed it? Izuku. Yeah, my dad helped me out. Kirishima. Who was the girl who rode on the back with you? Momo. That was me. As everyone stopped eating and looking at both Momo and Izuku, they both blushed because the spotlight was on them. Izuku. Well, to be honest, me and Yaoirozu aren't really strangers to each other. Iida. What do you mean, Midoriya? Izuku pulled the locket necklace out and opened it up as he showed the pictures it contained within. Kirishima. Wait, who are the man and the woman on the left? Izuku. Those are my parents. Can you guess the two kids on the right-hand side? As the small group of their new friends looked closer, the kids resembled Momo and Izuku. Jiro. It looks like you and Yaoirozu. Izuku. That's because it is. We met as kids after I saved her from bullies, but one day she had to move, so we took this picture together and promised to meet again. Both Jiro and Mina were thinking about how cute it was then, before they realized that lunch was over and on to their final class. As the students of class 1 sat in their seats, they wonder who would teach their final class of the day, until they heard a booming voice, I am walking in like a normal person. All students were in awe as they saw All Might wearing his Silver Age costume when he began class. All Might. Hello students, I'll be your Heroics 101 teacher, and for today's lesson, it's team battles. Now before we begin, get into your hero costumes and meet me at beta testing grounds. As everyone had arrived at the training grounds, everyone looked amazing in their hero costumes, while Izuku just wore a muscle shirt and shorts. Everyone was confused as to why Izuku didn't wear his hero suit. All Might. Glad you could join us, Midoriya. Kirishima. Hey Midoriya, is that your hero costume? Izuku. No, I just didn't want my uniform to get damaged. Everyone looked at Izuku confused until he had the symbiote take over his body. His face wasn't covered yet. Everyone looked in amazement at how Izuku had transformed. Then All Might was about to announce the teams for the exercise. Teams go as canon. Ichako. Deku, we got teamed up, are you excited? Izuku. Yeah, I have a plan against Bakugo, just leave him to me. As the exercise started, Izuku and Ichako went inside quietly. They heard Bakugo's voice. Kitsuki. Deku, come out here and fight me, you coward. Izuku was behind the corner where Kitsuki was going to turn, and when he least expected, Kitsuki was slammed straight down to the floor. He was out cold after one of Izuku's tendrils knocked him out, and Izuku used the capture tape on Kitsuki to prevent him from moving. That's when Izuku told Ichako to look for the bomb and let him know what floor it was on. Izuku. Uraraka, when you find the bomb, let me know what floor it's on while you distract Iida. I'll get him with a sneak attack, and we get the perfect win. Uraraka. Yeah, sounds like a plan. As the two split up, Uraraka made her way up the stairs, and Izuku went outside and scaled the walls. Then after 2 minutes, Uraraka had called in. Uraraka. Midoriya, the bomb is on the 5th floor. Izuku. Okay, on my way, keep him busy. As Izuku quickly scaled the outside of the building, he found the room in which the bomb was planted. He noticed Uraraka was keeping Iida busy. Then Izuku slowly went inside the building without Iida noticing him. Izuku ambushed Iida. From that moment, Izuku made contact. Everyone including Iida knew the fight was over. Uraraka walked over to the bomb, and Izuku had tied up Iida as All Might announced on the intercom. All Might. The heroes receive the perfect victory. As Izuku and Uraraka head to the observation room, they are rushed by their classmates, complimenting them on a great fight. Then as the rest of the fights went on, they weren't as exciting as Izuku's. Chapter 12 USJ Attack. The next day after the students underwent their basic combat class taught by All Might himself, Izuku began to wonder what was in store for today. Now Izuku's daily routine consisted of skipping breakfast to go pick up Momo, his beloved girlfriend, and drive them to school. What he didn't expect was to have the press hound them because they were interested in seeing what kind of teachings All Might was passing on to the students. Soon both Izuku and Momo were surrounded by the media, trying to get answers from them when Izuku grabbed Momo by the waist and shot a web that zipped them over to the school grounds. The media followed but was locked out due to UA's security system. When they walked into class, his students were talking about how the media was asking them about All Might becoming a teacher before they could carry out more over the conversation. Izawa walked into class. Izawa. Okay students, what I'm about to say is something that will affect all of you for the rest of your lives. CLASS 1A. Crap, is it something life-threatening? Izawa. It's time to pick your class rep and vice class rep. CLASS 1A. Oh, it's something school-related. As many of the students were trying to give their reasons why they should be chosen as the class reps. When Tenya Iida spoke. Iida. If we're going to choose a class representative, it should be done through democracy. After everyone votes, Izuku 4 votes and Momo received 3 votes. Iida was sad he didn't get picked for student rep but was glad his friend did. After all that was said and done, classes resumed like normal until it was lunchtime. Everything seemed fine until an alarm boomed and everyone was in full panic when a third year yelled. Third year student. The school's been breached and this is a level 3 warning. This has never happened in my 3 years of attending UA. Izuku grabbed Momo from the waist and shot a web upward to see who had breached the school. It turns out it was only the media who had broken through. Izuku and Momo looked at each other and she created a megaphone before Izuku asked her to. Izuku. Attention students, the security breach is a false alarm, it's only the press, look out the window. As everyone calmed down to look outside, it was true that it was only the press who had broken through the school's gate and caused the alarm to sound off. Everyone went back to class in an orderly fashion. As Izuku and Momo walked into the class, everyone was thanking them for thinking and acting quickly. Class was continued as normal when Izawa announced what hero activity they would learn. Izawa. Today's hero lesson will be rescue simulations. Now head outside to the buses because this training is off campus. As the students got to the bus and they quickly departed from school to the training facility, Izuku and Momo sat in the back with their friends. They were having a conversation about quirks when a frog girl interrupted them. Asui. Excuse me Midoriya, my name is Asui Tsuyu, but call me Tsu, I like to speak what's on my mind. Your quirk reminds me of the hero named Venom who is in America. As everyone heard this, they began to see the similarities between the two. Before the conversation could escalate, they arrived at the training facility. Izawa. Everyone off the bus. As everyone exited the bus, they were met by Pro Hero No.13 and he was a rescue specialist. Uraraka was fangirling because 13 was her favorite hero. Just as he was about to continue explaining the training they were going to do, he was interrupted by Kirishima. Kirishima. Cool, we're going to fight villains while doing rescue training. Izawa. No, those are real villains. 13 evacuate the students now. Just as they were going to leave the facility, they were stopped by a must-like villain. When the ringleader stepped forward and spoke. Shigaraki. I am Shigaraki Tamura and we villains have teamed up to kill the symbol of peace. As the students of UA were overwhelmed with fear, Izuku wasn't fazed and he stepped forward as he stood next to Izawa ready for combat. Izawa. Midoriya, are you sure you're up for this? This is far different than fighting a classmate, it's the real deal. Izuku. If we have to face villains after we become pro heroes, then I'd rather fight them sooner than later. Best to get experience sooner than later. As Izuku had Lasher cover his whole body, he was ready for battle. As he and Izawa had rushed down to the villains down the stairs, they had their quirks cancelled. As they were vulnerable to attacks, Izuku used his tendrils and began slamming the villains with them. Shigaraki was furious, but he knew his 2 secret weapons would come in handy. That's when he snapped his fingers and appeared 2 creatures, one was like a man-bird, the other looked like Lasher. Shigaraki. You boy with a green slime for a quirk, I have something similar to your quirk. As Izuku looked confused, a creature that looked like Lasher had been following Shigaraki's orders like it had no free will. Carnage. Lasher, I've come to kill you and your host. As everyone saw and felt the killing intent that Carnage was releasing, everyone was paralyzed with fear. Izuku. Izawa-sensei, please go back to the class, I'll handle these 2 now. Run. Izawa. Midoriya, are you out of your goddamn mind? Those things will kill you. Before Izuku could say anything, Carnage rushed him with his hands transformed into an axe. Izuku used his tendrils to block and shield himself from attacks. Izawa then realized this fight was out of his league. Carnage began his assault of axe-like appendages towards Izuku. All Izuku could do was try to defend as best as he could. This enemy was far beyond his current strength level. All Izuku could think about was to keep Momo safe and make sure she isn't in any danger. Chapter 13 Izuku vs Carnage vs Nomu. As Carnage continued the onslaught of attacks, Izuku couldn't help but notice the bird hybrid wasn't moving an inch. The thought that Izuku would have to fight off Carnage and the bird creature had him on edge. Carnage was relentless with his attacks. Izuku couldn't be able to land a hit up close without getting sliced, so he spread all his tendrils out and prepared to block Carnage to hold him off while his class found a way to escape. As Izuku began to block and parry the attacks Carnage was unleashing, that's when it hit. Lasher had decided to communicate with Izuku. Lasher. Izuku, we've got a problem. Izuku. What's the problem? Lasher. Carnage is the symbiote of pure rage and never follows anyone's orders. Izuku. What's so strange about that? Lasher. Carnage fused with only a few people. Every time Carnage leaves a host he kills them, but it's weird to see that he is following orders. Izuku. They must be controlling him somehow. Lasher. I don't know, but we'll find a way to free him somehow. As the intense fight between the two symbiotes continued, Izuku kept blocking while the leader of the villains commanded the hybrid creature to attack. It completely ignored Izuku only to attack Izawa-sensei. There was blood coming from Izawa. Izuku feared the worst, but knew that this is the meaning of being a hero, to become a living sacrifice for the greater good. When Izuku gained enough distance he was able to check if Izawa was alive. The result was that he was only unconscious, ill breathing, but out cold. Class 1 I couldn't help but be afraid. They all stayed at the entrance of USJ. There was no need to separate them because they were all frozen in fear. Izuku was the only one who was brave enough to fight against the villains, but one thing raced through his mind, and it was the promise that he made to Momo's father, that he'd keep her safe no matter what happened. Izuku was able to keep Carnage at bay, while his symbiote strength was able to launch the Nomu a good distance away from Izawa. Carnage continued his relentless assault on Izuku, trying to break his guard. It wasn't until Izuku yelled. Izuku. Iida, run to UA and inform the teachers you're the only one fast enough to do it. Although Iida was still afraid, he could only listen to Izuku because he knew he was right and it was best due to the situation that had occurred. Seeing the bravery of Izuku, Momo made sonic bombs which emitted high-frequency sound waves. She had asked Shoji to throw them at Izuku's direction because he had the second best strength score during the quirk evaluation. Momo knows the symbiote weakness because Izuku told her. As Shoji launched the sonic bombs towards Izuku, Carnage began to cry out in pain, and it was revealed that in the middle of Carnage was a small transmitter that was used to control somebody. Right before Izuku could strike at that device, his symbiote senses were tingling and noticed the Nomu was charging again, but before it got closer Izuku blinded it with web and pulled him towards him so he could land another punch and send it flying. Now retuning to Carnage, who was suffering from high-frequency attacks, Izuku immediately pinpointed the device controlling Carnage and destroyed it with his tendrils. As the device that was controlling Carnage was destroyed, he came back to his senses. Carnage. Lasher, where am I? Lasher. You were being used by those villains to be their slave. As Lasher pointed towards Shigaraki Tamura, a horrifying screech could be heard from throughout all of USJ. The fury of Carnage was about to be unleashed. As the terrifying speed of Carnage was seen, Shigaraki Tamura was frozen, but before Carnage's fury could be unleashed, Nomu was able to intercept the blade and launch Carnage to where Izuku Lasher was standing. Lasher. Carnage, the beast was made to kill the symbol of peace. The only way to take it down is if the three of us work together. Carnage. 3. Lasher. This is my host Izuku, and I believe him to be the one to make this world peaceful. Izuku. Hello Carnage, let's work together to beat this thing. The sonic bombs took a lot of your strength. Carnage. I wouldn't be much help. Even with the three of us we won't stand a chance. Unless. Izuku. Unless. Carnage. Unless I merge with you and Lasher. Izuku. Is that possible? 2 symbiotes in one host. Carnage. I don't know if it is, but it's the only chance we have to beat this thing. Izuku. How do I receive your power? Carnage. Carnage. I can merge with you through your blood, any small cut, and I can begin to fuse with you. As the fusion process began, Izuku began to feel power and rage coursing through his veins as Carnage began to merge, and now Izuku felt his own strength double. He then let out the same screech that could be heard through USJ. This time the screech gave out a sense of comfort to his classmates, telling them everything will be okay. After Izuku unleashed his newly gained power, Izuku felt like he could beat the Nomu on his own. At that moment, before Izuku had charged at the Nomu, the doors to USJ flew off its hinges. There appeared Iida with the pros. Iida. I've brought help. All Might wasn't smiling, he was furious, and so he jumped to where Izuku was. All Might. Young Midoriya, is that you? Izuku. Yes, how about we team up and take this thing down? I'll charge first. All Might nodded and Izuku charged first, and he began slashing the Nomu with a makeshift sword and axes that his tendrils created after weakening the Nomu. Izuku tagged out and had All Might finish the job. All Might used a 200% Detroit smash while shouting, plus Ultra in order to send the Nomu out of the USJ. Once police arrived, they had a special capture container for the Nomu. Chapter 14 Aftermath. Previously. Izuku. Yes, how about we team up and take this thing down? I'll charge first. All Might nodded and Izuku charged first, and he began slashing the Nomu with a makeshift sword and axes that his tendrils created after weakening the Nomu. Izuku tagged out and had All Might finish the job. All Might used a 200% Detroit smash while shouting, plus Ultra in order to send the Nomu out of the USJ. Once police arrived, they had a special capture container for the Nomu. Chapter 14 begins. After All Might and Izuku beat the Nomu, the other pros who came as backup started to round up the villains while the two walked to the rest of Class 1A. As everyone feels safe now that the ordeal is over, Momo immediately rushed Izuku as tears fell from her eyes. Momo. Baka baka baka, why did you risk your life like that? All Might knew what was going to happen, so he pushed the rest of Class 1A towards the exit, making sure the two teens had privacy. Izuku. Momo, I'm sorry but I did it for you. I couldn't bear the thought of losing you, and I promised your dad it'd keep you safe. Momo. What if I lost you? We finally reunited, got together, I wouldn't know what to do if I lost you. Izuku placed both his hands on her cheeks and pulled her in for a passionate kiss. He did this knowing that it would calm her down so he could explain. Izuku. Momo, I love you and you mean the world to me, that's why I risk everything to keep you safe. I wouldn't be able to forgive myself if you had gotten killed. All Momo could do was cry into Izuku's chest and embrace him because she felt safe when he held her. As they left the USJ training facility, they got on the bus that took them back to school so they can be informed of what happens next. As they arrived on school grounds, Principal Nezu was ready to address the situation. Nezu. Class 1, I'm sorry that there was a breach in the security, your lives are top priority. So for the next week we will suspend classes so that we can properly investigate this incident. You are all dismissed. As everyone was being escorted home by police officers with one pro hero keeping a distance while watching them from afar. Izuku asked one of the officers if he could have a squad car follow him and if they could provide extra protection around Momo's home. Momo. Izuku, I don't want to be alone, can I spend the night at your house? I'd feel safer if I was with you. Izuku. Sure, it's fine with me, call your parents and I'll call mine. Momo calls her dad. Ring 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 click. Momo. Hello father. Takeshi. Momo honey, are you safe? Please tell me you're okay. Momo. I'm fine, if it wasn't for Izuku we probably wouldn't be speaking right now. Takeshi. I'm glad to know you're safe, where are you now? Momo. We're being given a police escort to Izuku's house. I was going to ask you something. Takeshi. I'm at Izuku's home right now with your mother and we'll discuss what you want to ask me in person. Okay honey, see you in a few. As Momo ended the call with her father, Sha had a surprised look on her face as she whispered into Izuku's ear. Momo. My parents are at your house. Izuku. That's weird, first my dad at your house then your parents at mine. Well, at least they know you're safe. As Izuku along with his police escort arrived at his home, he opened the garage door of his home and he announced his arrival. Izuku. Mom, Dad, I'm home and we've got a guest. Hisashi. We're in the living room, come join us. Izuku and his girlfriend Momo walk into the living room of Izuku's home. They see Takeshi and Abina Yaoirozu enjoying tea with Midoriya's parents. At that very moment both parents rushed to their children to see if they are okay when Izuku's parents bombarded him with questions. Hisashi. Did Lasher keep you safe? Izuku. Not just Lasher, I've actually taken another symbiote. Inko. Hisashi. What? As Izuku created two tendrils, one had Lasher's face, the other had the face of Carnage, and he then explained the situation. After explaining, Izuku was hugged by both Takeshi and Abina, who felt like they owed him greatly for keeping their daughter safe. Takeshi. Izuku, I am in your debt, you saved my only beloved daughter, and there is no way I can ever repay you. Izuku. No Mr. Yaoirozu, I only did what a hero's supposed to do. I couldn't bear the thought of something bad happening to Momo, I'd gladly give my life for the girl I love. Takeshi. I'm glad my daughter found a great guy like you. Which is why I'd like to ask your family if you could take Momo in for some time. My wife and I are going on a business trip and I don't feel comfortable leaving Momo alone. This request had confused the Midoriya family including Momo, that they were frozen until a few minutes later, where Inko couldn't even form words until Hisashi spoke. Hisashi. Excuse me Takeshi-san, you're my boss, are you sure you trust me with this huge task? Takeshi. Nonsense Hisashi, I told you before we might become in-laws. This comment yet again made the teens blush a deep red, causing both their parents to laugh and tease their children. Momo. Well, I guess this works out because I wanted to ask I could stay near Izuku because I'm still shaken about the villain attack. As Yaoirozu's parents agreed to their daughter's request, they knew the Midoriya family was trustworthy. After the discussion about Momo's temporary living arrangements, both Takeshi and Ibina had to leave because they had to catch their flight. After Momo's parents left, the Midoriya family decided to have dinner because the day had just gone by quickly. Inko. Momo, after dinner would you like to take a bath? Momo. Yes, if it wouldn't be too much trouble. MRS. Midoriya. Inko. Oh honey, just call me Inko and don't worry about a change of clothes, your parents brought a suitcase. Momo. Great, thank you Inko. Hisashi. So Momo, can you tell us how you fell in love with our son? Chapter 15 Love Origin Steamy. Previously. Inko. Momo, after dinner would you like to take a bath? Momo. Yes, if it wouldn't be too much trouble. MRS. Midoriya. Inko. Oh honey, just call me Inko and don't worry about a change of clothes, your parents brought a suitcase. Momo. Great, thank you Inko. Hisashi. So Momo, can you tell us how you fell in love with our son? Chapter 15 Start. After Hisashi asked Momo how she fell in love with Izuku, she could barely respond because she began to stutter while having a very deep blush. While Hisashi and Inko were giggling waiting to hear the details of the young couple's origin. Izuku then started to speak so he could draw attention away from her while she composed herself. Izuku. Well, remember on my 5th birthday me and dad went to the park before the doctor's appointment. Inko. Yes, I remember that day. Izuku. Well, Bakugo was bullying Momo because she was creating little Russian dolls to practice her quirk. Then he said your quirk is useless, only those with strong quirks can be heroes. Inko. Did Kitsuki really say that? Izuku. Yeah, so I stood in front of her and defended her until Kitsuki was mad that I defended her and I told him it's what heroes do. Then my quirk activated and I webbed him to a tree. Momo. After Izuku turned around, he showed me an adorable smile and asked if I was okay. Ever since then, after I moved, that moment always played in my dreams and I kept hoping we could meet again. Both Hisashi and Inko had tears in their eyes after hearing such a sweet story of how Momo fell in love with their son. They began to clear the table. Momo excused herself to go take a bath. Izuku was in his room, not All Might themed. Izuku's in her mind. Carnage. Hey Izuku. Izuku. What's up Carnage? Carnage. Your girlfriend is in the shower, you should sneak a peek. Izuku. What? Carnage. Think about it, you saved everyone's lives and didn't get rewarded. Think of this as your reward. Lasher. Izuku, don't listen to him. Although the Carnage's anger is restrained, he'll act like a little devil. Carnage. All I'm saying is that the kid deserves a reward. Lasher. If you take peek, think it the consequences. Carnage. What consequences? Izuku. Oh, I don't know, how about I lose the girl of my dreams? Just before Izuku could speak more to Carnage, Momo walked into Izuku's room and she walked into his room wearing some booty shorts and a white tank top. Izuku was stunned at how sexy Momo looked. He was staring at her. Momo. You're staring pretty intensely. She said with a deep red blush and she walked to him and sat on his lap trying to be seductive. While his happened, Izuku couldn't utter a single word, then Momo began to kiss him. At this point, Carnage took control over Izuku's actions and so he grabbed her ass, making her jump by surprise. Carnage, having full control of Izuku's nervous system, switched the role and pinned Momo to the bed. Izuku. Carnage. You like it a little rough, don't you? Momo couldn't speak, she was a deep red and embarrassed, but before Carnage could make Izuku do some lewd things with Momo, Hisashi passed by and yelled, startling Momo and Izuku, making Carnage lose control. Hisashi. If you're going to get busy, don't forget to close the door. Izuku and Momo stopped and faced away from each other, while Izuku concentrated to contact Lasher and Carnage. Back in Izuku's inner mind. Lasher. Carnage, you idiot. Crack sound of Lasher whipping Carnage. Carnage. Haha, what, I tried to get the kid to relax. Izuku. Not cool, man, I don't know how I'm going to face her. Carnage. Look, she will probably be happier that you were a little forceful. Izuku. Lasher, please keep an eye on this guy. Lasher. I will, and if he gets out of line can I smack him? Izuku. You have my authority to do so. Back to Izuku and Momo. Izuku. Hey listen, I'm sorry, I feel like I went out of line. Momo. It's okay to be honest, I liked it when you got a little rough. Izuku turned a dark shade of red and couldn't utter a word after he heard Momo say she enjoyed him being a bit aggressive. Izuku. Well, it's getting pretty late, you can take the bed, I'll sleep in the living room. Just as he was going to walk out, Momo grabbed his arm and had her head down while she spoke. Momo. We can share the bed, I mean you're my boyfriend and well, I'm still a bit scared after the villain attack. Izuku. Okay, I'll take the edge of the bed. Since we're off school for a week, want to go on a date tomorrow? Momo. Yes, I'd love that. As the two were tired from having to deal with the stress of villains attacking, they got comfortable and Momo faced Izuku and snuggled into his chest. As she heard his heartbeat, it was soothing for her as she quickly fell asleep. Before Izuku fell asleep, he held Momo as she slept and planted a kiss on her forehead, then he also fell asleep quickly. Conversation between Lasher and Carnage. Carnage. Lasher, can you explain why I feel calm? I mean, I'm the symbiote of rage. Lasher. I got a feeling that it's because Izuku has a pure mind and only has his sights set on becoming a hero to protect the ones he loves. Carnage. I guess it makes sense, but I still have a small portion of my psychotic personality. Lasher. Yes you do, but I gotta make sure I don't go overboard. Chapter 16 The Date. After yesterday, Izuku was slowly waking up and he realized he and Momo shared the same bed last night. Izuku then saw she was snuggled up to him, then he pressed his lips against hers and she began to open her eyes, only to see her boyfriend kissing her. Izuku. Good morning beautiful, how did you sleep? Momo couldn't respond because she didn't expect Izuku to get a little more aggressive. Izuku got up and went to take a shower so he could feel wide awake. The moment he left, Momo was still in a daze thinking about Izuku's morning kiss. She then went to her suitcase to get a change of clothes. After she takes a morning shower, she found a note from her parents and started to read it. Dear Momo, if you found this letter from me, all I'd like to say is that both your father and I approve the relationship between you and Izuku. I'd also like to tell you that don't be afraid to act a bit hexy for him so you don't lose him to anyone else. I also took the liberty of getting birth control pills for you, your father, and I don't want to be grandparents just yet. Love, Mom. After Momo finished reading the letter from her mother, she turned a new shade of red that has yet to be discovered. So Momo did something that she never expected the thought to enter her mind. She got into her bathing suit. Then Momo walked to the bathroom and began listening to Izuku's movements. The second she knew he was in the shower, she walked inside, making sure not to make a sound. Carnage made sure to block Lasher's symbiote sense because he knew something good was about to happen. As Momo got closer, she was right behind Izuku and placed her breasts against his back. Izuku, a bit surprised that Momo wore a bikini and was in the shower with him. Momo. Izuku, let me was your back. Izuku. SS sure Momo. Without warning, Momo used her breasts to wash Izuku. Izuku was getting flustered and he was feeling hard, he couldn't control it anymore. He turned around to face Momo, pulled her in and gave her a passionate kiss. After they parted lips, he began to squeeze her ass. As she began to moan, he then aggressively undid the tied string of the bottom part of her swimsuit. He was about to penetrate her flower until he saw her face. The moment Izuku saw the look of nervousness on Momo's face, he stopped and embraced her. Izuku. Momo, I'm sorry, I almost went too far. Momo. I'm sorry too, I shouldn't have teased you this far. I thought that if I didn't do this, you'd get tired of me and break up with me. Izuku. Are you crazy? We can take this relationship slowly, plus you're the girl of my dream. I wouldn't be stupid to break up with you. Now can I finish my shower so we can have out date? As Momo left 10 minutes later, Izuku was out of the shower and got dressed, then Momo took a quick shower so they could head out. Izuku took this time to confront Carnage. Izuku's mindscape. Izuku. Carnage, what hell was that? Carnage. Oh buddy, that was a 100% you. Lasher. Yes Izuku, as much as I hate to admit it, Carnage had nothing to do with your actions that time. Izuku. What? So those were my feelings that were out in the open? Carnage. Yup, I didn't think you'd have it in you, Tiger. Lasher. I guess it means you truly love her if you were willing to go that far to be connected to one another. Izuku broke out of his mindscape to prevent any further embarrassing discussion of what transpired. When he left his mindscape, Momo was just walking to the living room and Izuku was captivated by her beauty. She wore a simple dress and looked cute in Izuku's eyes. She was personification of beauty. Momo. Izuku, are you ready to go? Izuku. Yeah, I'm ready Momo, let's go. As Izuku grabbed his keys and helmet, they both hopped on his bike as they were heading to the restaurant called Johnny's. Upon their arrival, the hostess saw Izuku and remembered him. It must have been a weird coincidence because many girls who were there that day Izuku ate at Johnny's were there again. What the crowd of women didn't expect to see was that her brought a date. A lot of them were talking trash about Momo. Thanks to Izuku's enhanced senses with the help of his symbiotes, he heard everything they were saying. So when the waitress came to take their orders. Waitress. Hello, may I take your orders? Momo. Yes, I'll have the chicken salad please, and to drink I'll have water with lemon. Waitress. Okay, and what about you, sir? Izuku. I'll have the steak cooked well done with a side of macaroni and cheese and mashed potatoes with gravy on the side, and to drink I'll have cherry coke. Momo just looked at Izuku, wondering if he could finish all that he ordered. Well, Momo was lost in thought about whether or not Izuku could finish his meal. Then Momo's concentration was broken by Izuku when his hand on top of hers. Izuku. Momo, I love you, so don't think for a second that I'd leave my dream girl. Momo shed small tears, the words Izuku said, because she was trying too hard to please him, trying to make sure he didn't leave her. After 20 minutes their meals came and they enjoyed the meal. Momo was about to pay when Izuku cut her off. Izuku. Momo, allow me to pay, I invited you, and this is a date, I can't let my girl pay. Momo blushed again, she realized she landed everyone's dream guy, a complete gentleman who pays for the meal. As they headed out, Izuku turned to her and asked. Izuku. Is there anywhere you want to go, Momo? Momo. How about a stroll on the beach? Izuku. Perfect, I know just the place. As he and Momo got on the motorcycle, Izuku drove to Dagaba Municipal Beach, and the people of this area recognized him very well. As the people saw him with a young lady, they thought it best not to disturb him. Momo. Wait, wasn't this place a dump around 2 to 3 months ago? Izuku. Yeah, it was. It took quite a bit of work to finish before the UA entrance exam. Momo. You cleaned this place? Izuku. Yeah, the people of this neighborhood were appreciative of the good deed and gave me snacks to keep up my energy. There was another reason I wanted to bring you here. Momo. That was nice of the community to reward you for clearing this beach. What reason did you want to bring me here? As Izuku escorted Momo to the edge of the sand where the earth and water meet, the sun was about to set since the day went by quickly, and the moment the sun hit the water's horizon he pointed it out. Izuku. This sunset was what I wanted to show you. It looked magical, and Momo was in a trance admiring the beauty of nature. The moment the sun was fully down, Izuku and Momo decided to head home. Chapter 17, Back to School Sports Festival. After having some time off after UA was attacked, they were informed the classes were to resume. As the class of one were back, they began to think what was about to happen since the villain attack was a week ago. They then saw Aizawa enter the room, and the class was glad to see him doing well. Aizawa. Okay class, today is going to be an extremely short day, and what I'm about to say is going to affect your lives greatly. CLASS 1A. Is it another villain attack? Aizawa. No, we are holding the annual sports festival in 1 week, so you get 1 week to train. Be prepared because this is an event that could get you noticed by pro hero agencies. You guys only get 3 chances to try and shine, make them count. And with that, classes were dismissed and everyone went to train for the week. Momo was nervous until Izuku gripped her hand and said. Izuku. If you'd like, I'll help you train. Momo's eyes lit up like the stars at night. Momo. Really? Izuku. Yes, I'll help you. I bet you want to make your parents proud. Momo. Yes, I want them to be proud. When do we begin? Izuku. How about tomorrow? As Izuku and Momo headed home, they were asked by Izuku's parents why they were home so early. Izuku. Well, we're home early because we have a week to prepare for the sports festival. As the two teens think of a way to train, Izuku suggested to Momo she should learn hand-to-hand combat. That's when the idea hit him like a sack of bricks. Izuku yelled to his dad, who was downstairs. Izuku. Hey dad. Hisashi. Yeah. Izuku. Do you think Uncle Gunhead could train me and Momo for the week before the sports festival? Hisashi. I don't know, why don't you give him a call? Inko. Could both of you stop shouting? As the father and son felt the tension in the air, they both shut up because when Inko got angry, it meant someone was getting hurt. Momo could only giggle at the antics of her boyfriend. She noticed that he was sending a text to somebody. After it was sent, a quick reply was received. Izuku. Good news, Uncle Gunhead will start to train us tomorrow for the rest of the week. Time skip 1 week later. As the week of preparation for the sports festival concluded, everyone was hyped up when Todoroki walked up to Izuku. Todoroki. Midoriya, you are the most powerful student here, so I'm declare war on you. Izuku's mindscape. Izuku. Carnage, would you like to respond to his declaration? Carnage. Really, can I? Izuku. Yeah, on special occasions. Back to Todoroki. Todoroki. Well, Midoriya, what's your answer? Hiroshima. Midoriya, you don't have to reply. Izuku. Carnage. Hahaha, do you honestly believe that a guy with daddy issues can beat me? If you only use half of your true power, you're not fit to be a hero. As for your declaration, bring it on, Cupcake. Everyone was surprised at Izuku's behavior change except Momo. She knew it was Carnage talking to him, so she sat back and watched the events unfold. As they headed out to the field, the crowd roaring with excitement, many were nervous. Nick. Hello world, here we are again with the annual sports festival to see who will come out on top. As Pro Hero Midnight approached the podium to judge the first years and also introduce the freshman representative. Midnight. Okay, may we have our freshman representative Izuku Midoriya step forward. As the arena cheered for him, he could hear his mother cheer the loudest from the stands. He could just face palm because his mother was embarrassing him. When Izuku got to the top of the podium. Izuku. Hello and welcome to the annual sports festival. I'd like to wish you all good luck and make sure you give it everything you got. We're here to show the world the next generation of heroes that will maintain the peace. Let's go beyond plus ultra. The crowd began to roar with cheers as they were all excited to see what the aspiring heroes had to offer. Momo looked at Izuku with the eyes of a proud housewife, the kind of look that says that there is my man. Midnight. Thank you Izuku Midoriya for the beautiful speech. Now we will find out what the first event will be. The first event is the obstacle course. Everyone please get ready, because the first 42 will be allowed to move to round 2. As everyone prepared for the race, Izuku was at the back, and the moment the starting gun sounded off, Izuku shot 2 webs on each of the tunnel's sides to slingshot himself ahead. The moment Izuku flew past Todoroki, he noticed robots from the entrance exam and transformed his right and left arms into symbiote swords to cut them down. Izuku had super speed thanks to merging with the symbiotes. His power was also doubled once he and Carnage merged. Before Izuku began to sprint, he saw Momo and shot a web at her. As Izuku pulled Momo to him with his web, he carried her bridal style. Once they reached the canyon, Izuku sprinted with everything he had while holding Momo and jumped over the obstacle. Everyone else was far behind. Not even Bakugo or Todoroki were close enough to catch up to Izuku and Momo. The reason for that was because Bakugo started to attack Todoroki near the beginning of the race, which led them to fall behind. By the time they reached the third obstacle, Izuku saw a sign that indicated what the obstacle was. He shot a web and cleared the area, while still carrying Momo. Once on the other side, he put her down and raced to the finish. Izuku crossed first with Momo second. Midnight. The winner of the first event is Izuku Midoriya. The crowd went wild. It wasn't until the audience quieted down that everyone heard Inko cheering. Inko. Woo, that's my baby, he's the best. As the camera pointed at Inko, Izuku and Hisashi felt embarrassed and face-palmed. Midnight. That's what I call a supportive parent. Chapter 18 Sports Festival continues. After winning the first event in the sports festival, the crowd cheered and we're waiting anxiously for Midnight to announce the next event. Once the qualifying students crossed the finish line, Midnight walked to the podium and was about to announce the next event. Midnight. Congratulations to you Luck 42 that made it back here. Now the next event will be the cavalry battle. Also the first place winner is worth 10 million points. Izuku froze. This allowed Carnage to take over and say what he wanted to say. Izuku. Carnage. You can try to take my points, but I have an invincible defense, plus I'm far more powerful than all of you here. Izuku's mindscape. Cracklasher whips Carnage. Carnage. Hahaha, the kid's gonna have a hell of a time. Lasher, you made it worse. As Izuku took back control, he looked for a team to join up with, but nobody wanted to be walking targets until he felt a hand on his shoulder. It was Momo. Momo. I'll join up with you. I also brought Tokoyami. Tokoyami. I'll be glad to help. Let me guess, your quirk has a mind of its own like Dark Shadow. Izuku. Yeah, something like that. The last member to join them was Mei Hatsume from the support course. She was only interested because teaming up with first place could probably get her max exposure. Midnight. Now that the teams have been formed, let's begin the second event. As the buzzer sounded, everyone was rushing Izuku and his team because he was worth 10 million points, but just as Carnage stated, Izuku did have a perfect defense thanks to his tendrils. Tokoyami made sure to keep anyone at bay. Had they been able to penetrate the defense, Todoroki then launched ice attacks trying to isolate Izuku's team. Izuku transformed his tendrils and began to slice the ice surrounding his team, causing chunks of ice hitting other teams. 2 minutes remained and Todoroki attempted to snatch away Izuku's points. Dark Shadow ran interference. That's when Todoroki unconsciously used his fire side. At that moment, time expired while leaving Izuku's team standing at the top again. Kitsuki was furious because he lost his points against Monoma, but he was able to recover enough to move to the third round. Preliminary rounds will be skipped, same as canon. As the second round was ready to begin, Izuku was going to fight Todoroki, but just before he went to the stage, he bumped into Endeavor. Endeavor. You're going to fight my creation and make him use his fire side. Izuku. Carnage. Listen here, he's your son, not your tool to beat All Might. I'll tell you this, your son is weak. Even if he uses his power, he is weak. I'll show you what true power is. Now stand aside and watch me humiliate your family name and legacy. Endeavor was furious and ready to attack Izuku, but then realized there were cameras in the hallway and he didn't want to risk his hero career over hitting Izuku and having the footage leaked to the media. Present Mick. Well, now we have the battle we all been waiting for. On my right, Izuku Midoriya, and on my left, Shoto Todoroki. The crowd went wild. Izuku's parents were in the stands ready for Midnight to start the fight. Both combatants looked ready and they stared at each other until Midnight. Battle begin. The fight started. Todoroki had started to send waves of ice at Izuku, but he simply sliced the ice with his tendrils in the form of an axe. On the battlefield there were small chunks of ice, thanks to Izuku slicing Todoroki's waves of ice. Izuku carnage. You've gotta be kidding me, is this the full extent of power you possess? This is pathetic coming from Endeavor's son, this is your power, now fight me for real, unless you're too much of a hitch. Todoroki. That's it Midoriya, you're dead Raya. Todoroki unleashed all his fire quirk in one go. Izuku saw the true power that Todoroki hid, and he saw Midnight give Cementus a signal to stop the fight, but Midoriya signaled to Midnight that it wouldn't be necessary to do so. Todoroki. What are you, an idiot with a death wish, have it your way. Izuku carnage. Bring it on Cupcake. Todoroki then blasted Izuku with all his might. Izuku took the blast head on, and people saw in terror that he was burning alive as they heard screams like never before. Izuku. Ah. Everyone in the audience was terrified, that's the son of Endeavor had taken a life. Izuku's body had dropped to the floor, but 3 people in the audience knew he was okay. Those people were Momo, Hisashi and Inko. While everyone was freaking out, Todoroki was about to walk away, while Midnight was going to name him the winner, until they heard laughter. Izuku carnage. Ha 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 ha. As they saw Izuku lift his body up while he used his tendrils, people calmed down so they could see what was going to happen next. Izuku carnage. I told you before, you're weak, you're 100 years too early to beat me. Haha, now you've made me serious. Izuku then powered up to the max, and as he began walking out of the fire, he looked like a demon. Todoroki only stood frozen because he was overcome with fear. The audience was shocked to see he was alright. Before Todoroki could react, Izuku shot a tendril at him and yanked him over to him, where he was then slammed on the arena floor. Izuku then used his enhanced strength and speed to beat Todoroki. Before he attacked him again, he powered down the symbiote to prevent killing Todoroki. Thus began the humiliation of the Todoroki legacy. To not shatter the little pride he had left, Izuku used a tendril to lift Todoroki and drop him outside the ring. The crowd went nuts because the people believed that Todoroki would have won the entire festival, but that was not the case. Izuku carried Todoroki to the nurse's office. Upon arrival, Izuku gently put Todoroki down. Izuku. Listen Todoroki, sorry if I went a bit overboard. Todoroki. It's okay, I was foolish to think I'd be able to beat you. Izuku. You probably would have if I hadn't trained my quirk to become resistant to fire. Todoroki. You mean even with the powerful quirk you still train to improve it? Izuku. Yeah, you can do it too. Your fire belongs to you and you alone, it's your choice to decide how to use it, don't let yourself become a prisoner to your bloodline. After Izuku said those last few words, memories of Todoroki's mother flooded through his mind, tears began to flow. He decided it was time for him to step forward. Izuku was walking to the stage when the announcement was made. Izuku Midoriya and Katsuki Bakugo, please report to the battleground. Once both fighters were in position, the fight was over before Katsuki had a chance to react. With Izuku's increase in speed and power, one punch in the gut sent Katsuki flying and stuck to the wall. Present Mick. It's over, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the annual sports festival is none other than Izuku Midoriya. The crowd went ballistic with cheers. Izuku's parents were proud that their son had won the entire thing. Momo was also happy for her boyfriend, so she planned to invite the Midoriya family out to eat to celebrate her boyfriend's victory. Somewhere in America. I think it's time to take a student under my wing. You're right, we can teach him all we know. Before we make him our student, he have to make a call first. Chapter 19. After the festival. After winning the entire sports festival, the students were given an extra day to recover. Upon receiving their awards, Izuku met up with his family, only to be tackled by his parents. Hisashi. I'm proud of you, Izuku. Inko. Honey, you're amazing, I can't believe you're this powerful. Izuku. Thanks mom and dad, I'm glad you guys showed up to show your support. Hisashi. We wouldn't miss it for the world. Momo then tackled Izuku and congratulated him for winning the entire festival as she began to snuggle his cheek. While Momo only focused on Izuku, she forgot that his parents were there and was reminded when she saw a camera flash. Inko. Why did you break off the cute pose? Hisashi was dying of laughter on the side as he saw his son and perhaps future daughter-in-law blushing. Momo. Well Izuku, since you won the entire sports festival, allow me to invite you and your parents to eat anywhere your heart desires, my treat of course. Izuku. Anywhere I want. Momo. Yup. Izuku. Well, could you use it for my parents instead? They deserve a night to themselves. Hisashi. What, so you and Momo could have some alone time, wink wink. Izuku was blushing like a madman because he wasn't thinking about that, he genuinely wanted to let his parents enjoy a night out alone. Well, Momo did as Izuku wanted, she took his parents to the best restaurant where the Yaoi Rozu would occasionally dine. Waiter. Madam Yaoi Rozu, a pleasure to see you again. I assume table for 3. Momo. No, it will be table for 2, and anything these 2 order please charge it to the Yaoi Rozu. Waiter. Pardon my rudeness, who are they? Momo. These are the parents of my boyfriend and maybe future in-laws. This surprised the waiter and Izuku's parents. While the waiter left to find the best table in the house, Inko looked at Momo and asked. Inko, did Izuku propose to you? Momo. No, but I'd like to hope that we'd get married someday. Inko. Honey, you could have called us mom and dad, you're practically already family. As Inko and Hisashi embraced their hopeful future daughter-in-law, the waiter came back and escorted Inko and Hisashi to the best table. Momo said. Momo. I've also arranged for a limo to take you anywhere you'd like to go, so you can enjoy a night out, or if you feel like just coming back home, just let the driver know. As Momo left, she and Izuku went to a small burger joint. They got their order to go and arrived at Izuku's house shortly. As they sat in the living room, they decided to watch two movies, Southpaw and Magnificent Seven. After eating, they kept watching the movies. Momo kept cuddling into Izuku. She was resting her head on his shoulder. Izuku just wrapped his arm around her. She noticed where his hand was, it was under her breasts. Momo looked at Izuku, and he looked at her and began to kiss her passionately. They paused the movie and took their activity to Izuku's room. When they got there, on Izuku's bed was a box of condoms with a note attached. It read. Dear Izuku, if you and Momo decide to get intimate, please use protection. We don't want to be grandparents yet. From Mom and Dad. Izuku and Momo blushed after reading the note but decided to continue their makeout session. Lemon skipped. Please read it on website. After Izuku released his cum inside the condom, he carefully took it off and disposed of it properly. He went to bed and laid down beside his naked girlfriend. As they were tired, Momo quickly embraced Izuku and she felt much closer to him than before. Izuku, would you like to take a bath together? Momo quickly nodded and they both got a change of clothes and headed to the bathroom to take a bath together. Once they showered, they simply soaked in the bath together like a couple of newlyweds. This had Momo giggle. Momo. You know, it feels like we're married. Izuku. I actually had planned to propose to you when we graduate high school. Momo faced Izuku in the tub and kissed him because she wasn't sure if he would want to marry her later in the future. After soaking for a while, they got out and got dressed for bed. Once in bed, they fell fast asleep. The next day. Inko and Hisashi had woken up first to start cooking breakfast. When Izuku and Momo walked downstairs to eat, both Inko and Hisashi knew there was a change in the kids. Hisashi. You guys did the nasty. The comment made Izuku spit out his coffee and Momo choke on the eggs and bacon that Inko prepared. The two teens didn't deny Hisashi's comment, as Izuku's parents had a look of both joy and shock when Hisashi spoke. Hisashi. We left the condoms on your bed as a joke, we didn't think you'd actually make a move. Dom. At the same time, Momo received a call from her parents asking how everything has been, and they knew Izuku had won the sports festival since the event was a world broadcast. After spending 10 minutes on the phone with her parents, she told the Midoriya family some important news. Momo. Well, it looks like my parents are coming back already. They also said that they have a special surprise when they come back home. Chapter 20 Internship Surprise. After enjoying the weekend recovering from the sports festival, many people wanted to shake Izuku's hand because he was the winner of it. Many girls tried to approach him thinking that he was single until he rejected all sorts of dates because he was in a happy relationship. It was time for school again, so Izuku and Momo had some breakfast and drove them to school so they wouldn't have to deal with rabid fans trying to get autographs. As they drove to school, Izuku had stopped at an intersection to wait for a green light when the car next to him had a group of girls and guys who recognized him and his passenger, but just in time his light turned green and her drove off to school. Upon arrival at UA, Izuku and Momo quickly made their way towards class and took their seats. Once the bell rang, everyone waited for Izawa, and just as the class fell silent, he had walked in and noticed how his class was ready to start the day. Izawa. Thank you for being ready, class. Now, before we begin the day, I'll be discussing the results of the sports festival. As Izawa brought up the results on a projector, everyone saw that Izuku had gotten many offers. Izawa. Midoriya, while you may have won the entire sports festival, you've actually been chosen by a special hero to do your internship with. While the rest of the class can't choose what hero agency to join. Izuku was contemplating who could have chosen him to take him under their wing until Izuku's symbiote senses began going out of control. Izuku knew danger was close when Principal Nezu walked in and got everyone's attention. Nezu. Hello class 1, sorry for interrupting you, I wanted to let Midoriya know his mentor for the internship is here. Right when Nezu said that, Izuku shouted at the top of his lungs. Izuku. Everyone get down to the floor. Through the window, a black figure came inside the classroom and stood in front of Izuku, and he wore high military grade gear. As the guy who stood before Izuku stared at him, Izuku didn't waste a second more. He powered up and using Carnage, he transformed his arm into a sword. Only for the mysterious person to reveal his face and introduce himself. Flash Thompson. Hello, I'm Flash and you also might know me as Venom. The whole class was in awe seeing a great American hero. Izuku was close to fangirling because he saw the hero who had a quirk like his. Flash. Izuku Midoriya, I'm your mentor for the internship. I believe that you have what it takes to be a great hero. As Flash walked to Principal Nezu to stand at his side, everyone was in awe to see one of America's legends in their class. Nezu. As this man introduced himself, this is Flash Thompson, and he will be training Izuku Midoriya for the week. We've also asked Mr. Thompson to assist us with capturing the hero killer Stain. Flash. Izuku, you've been given permission to assist me in this mission. What's your hero name so I don't reveal your identity? Izawa. That's right, I was going to cover that today. As everyone was getting ready to pick hero names, Pro Hero Midnight walked in and explained that your hero name follows you forever. This meant that everyone had to be careful when they decided their names. Some were creative, others not so much. It was finally time for the last students to present. Izuku's Mindscape. Carnage. You're using my name right? Lasher. He's not using either of our names, so be quiet. Carnage. Think about it, the hero Carnage. Izuku. I'm trying to comfort the people, not terrify them. Carnage. It's the same thing. Izuku. Lasher, if you please. Lasher. With pleasure. Crack crack. Carnage. Ow, that hurt. Back to class. Midnight. Izuku Midoriya, you're the last one to present. As Izuku walked to the front of the class to present his hero name, he took a deep breath and said. Izuku. The hero not of this world, the symbiote. As everyone clapped, Izuku made his way to his desk and class ended. The next day they would depart for their internships. Izuku and Momo were walking to the parking lot to get Izuku's motorcycle when his name was called out. Flash. Izuku, I wanted to give you some gear I brought with me, so please wear this tonight and let me know how it fits. Here is my number XXXXXXXXXX. Momo held on to the case as Izuku drove home, and after 10 minutes they reached Izuku's home when he heard laughter. Izuku. Mom, Dad, Momo and I are home. As Izuku announced his arrival, his and Momo's parents walked out to greet their kids. When both of them were surprised to see Momo's parents. Momo. Mother, Father, I thought you were still overseas. Takeshi. We finished early then decide to stay and relax. We were also able to watch the sports festival. Congratulations, Izuku. Izuku. Thank you, sir, it was an honor too with the festival. Ibina. We also came back because we have a big surprise for you and Izuku. Takeshi. We've decided to buy a mansion and have the Midoriyas live with us. Momo, you and Izuku will live in the back house of the mansion, seeing as you two might get married in the future. Izuku. How'd you figure out I was going to propose to Momo? As the room got quiet you could literally hear a pin drop and Takeshi jumped for joy, knowing his daughter had landed herself a great guy. Izuku. So when is moving day? Takeshi. Right after your internships. Izuku excused himself because he was going to try on the gear Flash had given him. Izuku opened the suitcase that the gear was in and began to change. The moment he was done he saw himself in the mirror and knew the gear was a perfect fit. Izuku quickly called Flash and told him that the gear was a perfect fit and he will see Flash tomorrow morning. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.